Hi, everybody. I'm live. I have to get water. It's like 115 here today. Very, very hot. Very hot. Not as hot as it was in Massachusetts courtroom, but it's very hot. How is everybody today? Oh, you're first, Debbie. A couple of you sent me emails, and like Tennis Girl, I know you sent me an email. I read it. I just haven't responded yet, but I will today. Top Cat. The discourse is toxic. I can't believe, for real. There's no children involved. There's no, it's not, no one was like raped. I mean, it's an emotional case because I think they're creating it. I think it's a created emotional case. You know, it's typical vehicle manslaughter or vehicle homicide or leaving the scene of a crime, DWI. Doesn't usually create this much of a response as far as emotion. I mean, people are at each other. Twitter, man, woo! You say one pro Karen Reed thing, you might as well just pack it in. You're going to get botted to death. I mean, I get it. I mean, I get it. I get it a lot. Like, I'm never, or I shouldn't say never. I'm not always on the side of the people that are the majority in my life. I'm Patty Wilson. I live in Tallahassee, Florida. This is a podcast where we talk about true crime. We also have a radio show, also called Patty's Playhouse. So that's kind of where I got the Patty's Playhouse thing, trying to be consistent. As my sister-in-law Joanne says, she helped design the Fresh from Florida logo and motto for Department of Agriculture. So she's got a master's in marketing, and she's like, you got to be consistent about your names and your brand. So I was like, okay, I'll just call it that. So that's why it's called Patty's Playhouse, and we talk about real estate in our radio show, and we're going to talk about some real estate today because I, of course, had to look up where the hell does Karen Reed live? Where is 34 Fairview? Right? Fairview. So all of those things I wanted to look up. I was like, what do these houses look like? What did they sell for? Have they sold? Because that's my passion's real estate. And people being alive. Like the whole thing with, hell my goodness, True, how are you? The whole thing with being like unalived and ending up a victim of this podcast or any of these podcasts. It's just crazy to me. Like how you can end up at a party and then all of a sudden dead in the road. And people are literally screaming at each other and forgetting, in my opinion, that there was a man dead in the road. So, man is dead in the road, in the cold. Could have survived. Maybe he could have survived. We don't know because we'll never know. So, all of that is very, very sad to me. I'm not the biggest follower of this case. However, I love basketball. But I think the most important portion of basketball is the last quarter. And football is pretty much the same. You know, the first half, you're getting to know each other, you're dating in football. And then the second half is where the action starts. That's where you get to go to the girl's house and make out. And so I think that's the fun part of football is the last half. And basketball is the last quarter. There's no point watching the first 3 quarters unless you're with a bunch of friends. Or something amazing happens, like you're watching Caitlin Clark just like fill a stadium that had never been filled by women's basketball. That's fun. But this case just is bringing out, I think, the worst in a lot of people. I think people need to look at themselves in a mirror and think about how they talk to each other, to be honest. I had a situation today where it was, I have a Facebook group. It's part of Tallahassee. Living Tallahassee is what it's called. But we also have a group that's called the Complaints Group because I got tired of people complaining, as we all do in social media. It's a lot when all you read and watch are complaints. And I got told, what a heinous human I am today. I don't know this person. I don't care. But I mean, it's just that whole like vitriolic, You can't say anything, well, with proper grammar. Proper grammar is a start. But you don't use a comma. Probably weren't raised to use a comma. But just be not. Even if you don't like each other, why do you have to respond? So recently, also in Facebook feed was this woman who won, I don't know if she won Mrs. America, Miss America. She's 71-year-old woman. Oh, here she goes. Miss Texas. So Miss Texas becomes the oldest Miss Texas USA pageant, right? So I'm going to show you her face. I hate to break it to everyone, but most people have a filter on their face, right? They just do. Let me take it over here. They have a filter on their face. That's what people do. They put a filter on their photos to make them look better. I do. I mean, I'd be foolish not to. Anyway, here's this rather, I think, attractive woman. You got to start with the bones. Just like on a house, you got to have good construction. She's got good construction, probably fantastic proportion, right? And she wins. She gets to be the oldest Miss Universe, contestant or Miss Texas USA pageant. And people are like, she's got Botox. She has this, she's that. So did the younger ones. You think that's their boobs? Of course it's not. But the meanness that is coming out against this woman who's 71 years old is in our town, full of. Sorry about that. So I was just trying to switch screens. I apologize. But I'm like, dude, it's just crazy. Like, can you all just not, threaten each other? Like, you're grown-ups and you're threatening each other in writing. In writing. Stop it. So that's my take on the Karen Reid. But anyway, defense started putting on theirs. So like basketball, now's the time to watch. Now's the time to really get into it and watch and see how it takes out. It's boiling where you are, Debbie. Debbie is a Canadian American border girl. And I find it hard to believe that it's so hot up there because it is so hot here. It is so hot. So hello, everybody. Hello, Pikachu. It's my romper room time to say hi, everybody. I don't disagree. I think her face shows guilt. And someone, I forget who it was, I think her handle was Georgia, said something about faces, and you're going to convict someone on their face. It happens every day. It happens every day that someone's convicted by the way they look, or their face, or their attitude. That's why most criminals, at least in Florida, when they're on trial, don't wear their prison garb. Jail garb. They wear a suit or a tie or whatever their mommy will bring them. Because the look on their face matters. Looks matter. Hers, this lady, her looks matter. She's beautiful. So if she's had a little Botox, bless her heart. I wouldn't do it, but not yet anyway. But I will damn sure do something to get these age spots off my face. That's the only thing that's bothered me so far about aging is these age spots. But I'm like, good for her. She looks gorgeous. So if you don't think, faces matter, they absolutely matter. Maybe not to the defense witness who could barely see, who's colorblind. That was sad. Sad but funny. Debbie says, listening to yesterday's STS, which if you don't know or you're new, Surviving the Survivor podcast, which is on YouTube, rewind because it's toxic and everyone on there, again, think not enough of the evidence. Say what? I just don't understand why people are so, I know he died, but every trial that we watch, someone has died. So I'm not quite sure why people are so invested in Karen Reid when she likely would never buy you a cup of coffee. She will look down on you before she ever buys. The look on her parents' faces, I'm like, dude, you're in a courtroom. You can't talk. You can't look at people like that. You want to woo. You're in a wooing phase. Even Wendy figured that out and lost, but Wendy figured it out. So, man, hi, everybody. Tennis girl, Claire. How hot is it in London, Claire? So you can see my marks. I don't have any. Justice for John. Justice for John. I know, in the end. Justice for John, right? Lolly says, hi to everyone. It can wear on your emotional well-being. Right. All those complaints and negativity can. I start, living Tallahassee's growing and growing. And I knew when it grew, I knew my life would become more challenging because it just does. And then I was like, oh, I'll just start a complaints group. Well, that is just even worse. Like, I'm ready to shut it down. Like, you just cannot talk to people that way. You don't, come on. Or what I'll do is keep it open and just let all of your employers see what you write. Because it's just that bad. It's that bad. But it does wear on your emotional well-being. You hate the word heinous because it sounds like anus. Well, I like the word heinous because it is. I think it fits a great, horrid fits a good one. Jennifer says, I assume talking about Karen Reed, if she was innocent and that worried in the morning, why call Jen and Carrie and not just 911? He was a cop. They would have looked for him. That's a great look for it. I just think she knew where he was. So there was no reason for anybody to go look for him. She's 71, Jennifer. She was 71 years old. Maui Swift. Are you in Maui for real? Are you in Maui? The last couple days I've been thinking about the evidence without the noise. I believe they will get a guilty verdict. I know, but will the free Karen Reed people hanging out at the courthouse, will they riot? Will they have to put fencing up around the courthouse the way they have to around the Supreme Court? Will that take place? Jean says she loves the modern piece of art hanging behind it. I assume it will be used for staging. Yes, it will. Thank you, Jean. It will be used for staging. And Scott bought it when he was on his buying trip to Atlanta. So he bought it there. Debbie says it was 108 last night. And it's 95 now with 88% humidity. Oh my gosh, that's hotter than here. Karen Reed has smirked and scowled and laughed. I can't imagine, hey, true crime, I can't imagine that she's a well-coached defendant. Like, take this to Donna. Like, remember when Donna came in the courtroom when she was going for her first appearance in front of Judge Everett, Donna Adelson, if you don't know who I mean. And Donna walks in and she's like, wah, wah. She's like, ah, like all of these massive faces. And we're like, ooh, she needs to be coached. But that's also the difference between Everett and this judge, who I think has lost complete control of that courtroom. I don't have to watch the whole trial to see this woman has no business being a judge. She just doesn't. She lets Karen read her faces instead of, hey, attorney, control your client. Control the client. Ruth Markell was dismissed because of a noise on her phone. But meanwhile, mommy and daddy Reed, William and Janet, are in the background making all sorts of faces. Judge Everett would have closed that courtroom. He would have just said, gallery except for media, you're out. Why is this allowed to be permitted? Why? Karen and her flashy team remind me of the overconfident Charlie Adelson in his flashy defense. Sometimes smirks, smiles, and giggles. I agree. I think it's just really sad what's going on. And I'm surprised, going back to our own Dan Markell, Justice for Dan, that Judge Everett did not tell attorney Rashbaum to control his defendant and stop it. But then you have Rashbaum, who kept forgetting everything. So his assistant, was with him, Catherine had to walk around and hand him Post-its. Whole thing was a wreck. Whole thing was an absolute wreck. A lot of YouTubers are backing Karen Read. And maybe in their heart they believe she's innocent. We'll all find out soon. But I was like, where does she live? That's where I go to. Where does she live? What does Karen Read do for a living? What's it like at her house? When did she buy it? So this is Karen Read. I'm gonna share her home with you. So if you don't know, you may have already seen it, but I'm using this little block up here on Google to block the full address so that YouTube doesn't lose its mind. So that's the front of her house. I think she's painted it. It's behind some trees. I'll show you the Google Street View. This is a side view. I love that view. Very colonial, very Massachusetts. So she bought it in 2017. She's owned it for 7 years. Not a fan of this ceiling, I ain't gonna lie. Not a fan. Not a fan of that sink either. This looks like furniture in this corner, but it's very interesting. So this is what it looks like when she moved in. She's got a great view out the backyard. But it's a plain Jane home. It's not like she has so much money that she's living in gazillionaire land. She's not. Hey, Murder. How you doing? They got rid of the age limit true crime just like they allow pregnant people in. They'll loot the stores. The rioting will continue on the Karen Read. I hope not. People are picking on her. She is gorgeous. I don't know if it's jealous. I don't know what it is. I haven't seen. I mean, you only see the photos that are touched up. What Miss whatever, Miss Texas, Pennsylvania, although Maryland, she was really obese. Didn't look like she had a lot of Botox. But which faces are not redone? Who doesn't have a nose job that's walking down that pageant way? Or had their teeth done, or their hair colored, or microbladed, which I have done, by the way, full disclosure. Microbladed eyebrows. Everyone has some work done, but they're going after this, especially in this town. Like, stop it. And one is a real estate agent, and I just want to ask her. Her name's Helen. I want to say, Helen, when was the last time you updated your real estate photo? Because no one ever does. They never do. She's demeaning to everyone in front of that jury. And that's Karen Read. She really is. She's just crazy. Judge Canone lets a lot of antics in her courtroom, clapping and cheering for the defendant. I just cannot imagine. I'm so glad that we don't live like that here. So glad. I've been in front of other judges or just watched trials in front of other Leon County judges here. You just don't see it. It just doesn't happen. But this is Karen's house. Very, very plain, traditional home. Nothing magnificent. Nothing magnificent at all. Just a plain Jane house that she bought. She's owned it for 7 years. Georgia would have objected, but I think wanted Rashi to dig a hole for his client. Well, certainly didn't help. It did not help. Imagine the Markel family having no public support and people believing the Adelsons were extorted and wanting them. Well, some people do. I mean, they're very few and far between, but they do. They absolutely do. I've met a couple here in town. I'm like, go on with your best life. It's very sad, but you're going to be very disappointed come end of September and October. How about when Judge Everett said to Rashbaum, you haven't even practiced your opening in the mirror? You read that during the jury selection transcripts. I did read that. And so what True Crime's saying is, if you haven't watched me before, I read all of the jury selection for Charlie Adelson. There's 8 parts, and you can go back and watch it. I hope you do. I tried to make it straightforward and read it like it was directly off the page. But that is exactly what Judge Everett said to him. She does still own this home. So this is her home. She does still own it. Remember, she's out on bail now. Daddy got her out. YouTuber clearly said it didn't have a life, and he is on this Karen Reed thing every single day, and I think that is why. You don't have a life if you do this every single day. I mean, some people do it for their living. They make money at it, but I just don't. Yeah, yuck on that ceiling, right, Debbie? I don't like it. I'm like, what were you trying to hide? It lowers the room. And then you have an oven. Like this is clearly a renovated kitchen. This isn't original. And then they put this oven in the corner with no hood. There's no hood there. That is the oddest thing. What are you looking at? I can make fun of anyone's house, though. I do appreciate that when they did this, they pushed this cabinet out so it doesn't sink back the refrigerator. But this whole thing, what are you putting in here? What are you putting in this corner cabinet? And that's not her. That's the previous owner. I just am curious. I have lots of questions about it. It's her house. Her house. It's owned by her. Her parents' home I have a picture of. They've lived in the same home since 98. During the early motion hearings, the court erupted into applause. I cannot believe they allow that. I just cannot believe they allow it. Just cannot. But I've watched it, I mean, not much less in several of the other courtrooms. South Carolina, I was like, why are you allowing that? Daybell, who is another one that they're doing right now that's... Oh, Sarah Boone. Like, why is Sarah Boone allowed to keep doing this BS that she does? What? That judge needs to go. Absolutely needs to go. She is likely broke now. You can't have that kind of defense and pay all those bots and still have money when you're done. You don't like the kitchen floor either? Yeah, it's that tile. Doesn't make any sense. That's the backyard. She's painted it. We go back to the kitchen. Yeah, this is tile that clearly needed cleaned. She's probably put hardwood down or something. She is the worst judge. But Sarah Boone's judge isn't much better. And that's a Florida case. Sarah Boone is trying to get rid of her, ninth defense attorney? Just put the woman in trial. Just stop it. The Reeds have surely spent a lot more money than the Adelsons. I don't know how they have that much money. I mean, she does because she's in finance, but I don't know what Daddy Will does. Let me show you that photo. Let me stop sharing this. And I'll show you. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here's the Daddy Reads. William, Reed, and Janet. Where'd I go? I lost it. I have so many freaking things open. There we go. This is their house. It's only 2,000 square feet. It's a lot of outbuildings. It's 2,000. Beautiful lawn. I'll give it that. True Crime says, my mom always said that when we were growing up, we were mean to us, that it was because they were jealous. Whether or not it's true, we believed her. Well, I'm glad you believe her. And I feel like that. I feel like people choose not to try to understand me. That's the way it is. Don't be jealous, Patty. I'm not quite sure. Jealous of having these sunspots removed. That's all I really want. I have one here and one here. And I just was watching some Facebook or Instagram reel where they were like, take castor oil and baking soda. So I'm going to try that. But this is Daddy Reed's house, William. There's no photos in the inside because he's owned it too long. Your dad said that they should hold the pageants first thing in the morning. That would be funny. Worst judge since Lance Ito. Wow, that's going back. That's OJ's judge, in case nobody remembers it. Judge Bev running a circus in her courtroom. I know, they really should get these judges media training if they don't. Media training so that they can ignore the cameras, and then Judge Everett really should teach people how to hold a courtroom and track. Look how long people thought Wendy was not involved. I mean, look how long they thought she wasn't involved, Maui. There are people now that would say she won't be arrested and she's not involved, Tim Jansen. Didn't Tim Jansen say that here in town? That she's not involved and she likely won't be addressed? Yeah, was not involved. Imagine if people coming at witnesses or EMTs that tried to save Dan Markel, we wouldn't have put up with that crap for a second. Nope, not in this town. Mm-mm. Miss Mandy reacts. I liked your channel, but this is partial detoxing. I don't know what that means. Would you want someone to upload a picture of your house and show it on YouTube? Well, there's no addresses, so it's just a photo. And that's what I do. So, bye. I mean, I hate to see anybody go, but it is true. There's no home address, and that's it. Yeah, we have no idea because it's as she bought it. So I'm not making fun of that home. I'm just giving you, that's her taste, which is very plain. I was very surprised. But it's a beautiful home on a beautiful lot. There's nothing really to make fun of on her house because I don't see her stuff in it. But this is a beautiful home on a beautiful lot. Like, this lawn to me is absolutely beautiful. But William Reed is sticking his face in the camera, just like anybody else who's defending his daughter. And this is where she grew up. So it's nothing. And the home that she grew up before this one is very small, which I looked up. So it's not like it's some magnificent home. She just makes good money. Her father may have a retirement. I don't know where Karen Reed's all this money and influence comes from. I just don't know. It could be built into the thing, but it's still odd how it sits in the corner there. I'm not doxing anybody, but thank you. Doxing would be I'm giving their information out, including their phone number and address, and I'm not. Thank you, tennis. I should just let you handle it. Oh, that house is worth well over $900,000. She made a good deal. She definitely made a good deal. Yeah, but when you make that much money, when you make a lot of money, as professors do, you have to spend money because otherwise you're paying so much in taxes. So that's why, I mean, celebrities need the safety and they want probably the glamour of these big homes, but you really need to spend money. I'm not an accountant or an attorney in real estate to avoid paying massive taxes in a state like Massachusetts when every time you sneeze, you're taxed. My guess is she probably went in and changed it because the house now is not the same color as the house then. But I love this lawn, William. This lawn is beautiful. You've done a bang-up job. They're talking about the tile, Gray. They're talking about the tile floors in the kitchen. She spent many nights at John O'Keefe's. Good for her. He was a very handsome man. Boone is on her 8th attorney. Yeah, she wants her 9th. My guess is there was something else on those ceilings, on those copper ceilings. So they had to cover them up. Murder by Maestro says, defense argued for no uniforms for police or medics, said it would bias the jury against Karen. Judge allowed that and said no symbols or badges at all. Then Karen Moak came in with their sign and pink clothes. I know. Karen is a professor and she's a finance professor. So she makes really good money and she probably still does her stock trades, but that doesn't change, like, you're not making that much money, right? You're just not making that much money. Still a lot. Taxes in Massachusetts are a lot. This is the second judge. The first one allowed the 6 lawyers to run far away. Sarah should just represent herself. She is freaky. Sarah Boone is some sort of like... I haven't watched that much of it because it's so upsetting to hear that man in the suitcase. But has she had a mental health check? Has Sarah Boone had a mental health check? Karen Reed has $500,000 in donations from her Karen Reed GoFundMe. Well, I bet her attorney's $1 million. Bill Reed is also a professor. Karen Reed will be found guilty. Only her paid PR campaigns say otherwise. I believe she'll be found guilty. I think the 3 defense witnesses that got called, I watched some of it, and then I watched Roberta Glass's analysis of it. Ooh. That guy who was the snowman. Ooh. It's very sad to me what happened. I mean, he should never have been a witness, or he should have been better, how do I say it, like better prepared to be a witness, because he just wasn't. You just can't get that land in South Florida. It's like Long Island here, smaller homes, some huge properties. But that house, I mean, her land is, I mean, it's not a small lot on hers. And it's, you know, Massachusetts is very rocky, very hilly. They have basements. Everyone is judged how they look. Absolutely everybody. You can't not be. I judge myself how I look every day. We all judge how we look. It's so naive to think that we're not going to judge someone how they look. You can't go to a job interview, a Zoom meeting, nothing. I mean, that's why, if that was the case, when we're all on Zoom, why dress up from the top up? It doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Tennis says, never seen a judge as bad as Ito. But yes, this one is close. Is Lance Ito alive? Is he still alive? That is not a real copper ceiling. Those are panels that you tack up to the ceiling, that you stick to the ceiling. That is not a real copper tiled ceiling. Absolutely not. What about the beauty queen in Georgia that killed her boyfriend's toddler in the dorms? Dude, did you guys see that PhD? What is going on with these people? The PhD, and it happened in Pittsburgh? Did you see this one? Holy sugar zone. I don't even know. I'm being redirected. PhD student whose dad, not doxing him, by the way, whose father is a cardiologist. She is alleged to have murdered one of her very good friend's twins. Just horrible. What is going on with people? Yeah, father has a nice house. You think the lack of backbone, that's a problem. She might not know what she would do, but she folds to the annoying blitzkrieg from the defense. And then you shouldn't be a judge. I mean, isn't that the whole point of being a judge, is being able to, like, moderate? It's not always easy to moderate. It's not easy to be in the midst of what everyone calls drama, but you got to. That's what you're paid for. It is public info to look up. Well, in some states. Public info. Like, I didn't try to look for John O'Keefe's home, but he was a police officer. I did look up the house where he was found, and they completely changed the outside. Completely changed the outside of 34 Fairview. Have you all seen it? You got to see the after, man. It's crazy. Crazy look afterwards. Judge Bev needs to have Judge Everett teach her some manners. Everybody. I think a lot of the judges could use that. Hi, Lily. How are you? True Crime says she doesn't know where she is. Oh, they do. Oh, they do make money. Here in Tallahassee, our FSU professors make really good money. Really, really, really good. Now, the adjuncts don't, but a true professor here make good money. Well, Top Cat says Tim Jansen, who's a local defense attorney here in Tallahassee, who's off and on surviving the survivor, still saying Wendy will not be arrested and believes that Karen Reed defense cover-up theory. He's a defense attorney. He didn't have to, but he, believes what he believes. I mean, but you can't be shocked by it as long as he's been a defense attorney. I think they don't have huge money, more like influence. Rumors dad is ex-police himself. Her defense team costs probably 20% of the Adelson spent. It won't next time. Whoever uses Alan Jackson be paying the big bucks. Well, technically, you're right. But if you spew, like if I put all that out on YouTube, which she's saying it's doxing if it's public information. If I put, which I did, remember, I put that out, like, not that you would remember, Jennifer, but just in general, original, I was sharing the Whale Harbor house on one of the first YouTubes I did, because my thing, the only thing I really know are homes, is real estate. And I feel like real estate is always involved in a crime. There's always a location where a crime is committed. So real estate is always an involvement in that crime. So that's where my interest is. And I was talking about Whale Harbor. And I had put the Zillow out, which it's Zillow. It's everywhere. And I got it, the video was taken down on YouTube. So I just changed it and didn't put the address up. They don't make terrible money. They really don't. They make very good money. Her dad just spunked his retirement on this. It seems worse because they employed low-class scum like Turtle Boy, which is Adelson's had Ben Graber. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that guy is... He's no Jose. He's definitely no Jose. Florida is really blessed. Carl Steinbeck says it all the time. Carl Steinbeck has his own, which of course most people here love Carl, has his own YouTube podcast, but he talks often about the beautiful public information we have. It's nice. You can find a lot. You can find a whole lot. Boone is proper bonkers, but has she had a, what's that word? Has she had a mental health exam? Thank you, Kim. Thank you very much for subscribing. And, I feel bad if I don't do what everyone else thinks I should do. But that is my thing, is real estate is my thing. All I got is faces today. She was an investment buyer and part-time professor. Thank you for that. Very good refining of my statement. Tim Jansen believes Wendy will not be charged, but Carl Steinbeck believes will be. So I watched Carl last Sunday. Was it last Sunday? He's cracking me up. He's like, line them up and get them to the courtroom. People, he was like Carl's take on Craig Isom. People are not getting any younger, Jack Campbell. We need to get this moving. We need to get these trials moving. Dan Markel requires justice. And he's right. Murder by... I can't believe Bev allowed that. That's ridiculous. She allowed so much BS. Let's talk about the judge. If she's found not guilty, I do believe will be the nonsense allowed. Doesn't she have another part-time job? She did. She doesn't now. She likely doesn't now. From her own leaked text, Alan Jackson was $250, Yannetti was $200, then some experts, probably $750 all in. I love Roberta Glass too. I learn a lot with her, which is why I watch her. I watch to learn. And I just think that this poor gentleman, the snowplow guy, let me get to him, his photo. This poor guy really, really took a hit Friday. Hope he had a drink or six when he got off the stand. I mean, first of all, you got a colorblind guy coming up. He's colorblind. There were so many things he said that just made me like... He said he knows distances, but then he wasn't sure of the distance with the snowplow. How do you not? You either know distance or you don't. He said a few things that I was like, oh. He turned quite red. Poor guy turned quite red. Snowplow driver Brian testified that he saw nothing on the front lawn of 34 Fairview Road. That is not doxing. That is where John O'Keefe was located when he initially passed by the home at 2:45 on January 29, 2022. Lawford, who lives in Canton, also confirmed he's familiar with the Alberts. The Alberts are the people who own the home where John O'Keefe was found. He said he once worked for Brian Albert's brother, Chris, delivering pizza. I don't know if you've been to Massachusetts or just Yankee Pizza. Yankee Pizza is the best pizza. Lawford testified that he arrived in the Canton Department of Public Works around 2:15 in the morning. This was not this man's only job. For plow duties, he said he was driving an older vehicle known as a Franken truck due to its mismatch of various parts. With the seat raised so I could see over the hood, I could see about 5 feet on either side of the passenger and driver's side. And with the truck lights illuminating on the roadway, I can see a really long distance. Visibility is fine. He's able to see the entire front lawn outside of 34 Fairview Road the first time he drive by. Let me show you 34 Fairview. I know you all remember that that this is 34 Fairview. Shortly after the death, they changed the whole look of this house. The whole look. Completely different. This is what it looked like before. Not even close to the same home, is it? But the lawn isn't that big, which is my point. It's not like a lawn like Karen O'Keefe's dad's lawn. It's not long. It's not huge. Not at all. Defense attorney David Yannetti asked Loughran how much attention he pays to front lawns on the side of the road when he plows. Loughran said he's constantly making sure that there's no animals, pedestrians, and making sure no one's coming out of the driveways, not expecting to see him. And when you made that first pass, 245, with your headlights on, if anything, did you see the front lawn in the area of the flagpole? He says, I saw nothing. If there had been a 6'2", 200-pound man lying in the snow, we would have seen him. Plow driver also said he saw nothing outside of 34 Fairview when he passed by again a short time later. Did you see a body? He said he made another pass through the neighborhood later and saw a Ford Edge parked on the side of the road in front of Albert home near the flagpole. He testified that he found the car's presence unusual, adding that Albert's never had cars parked out front. It was just stuck out as weird. He said plow drivers are typically exposed to report cars left parked on the street during a blizzard, but he did not make the call because he was being courteous to the Albert family. He didn't want to get them in trouble. The person has given the statement multiple times and appeared to have changed those times. It also appears the person observed this vehicle from a distance, and also the identifying of a Ford Edge seemed highly suggestive the way that I had read the account of it. If it had done as a police officer, the court would have thrown out the identification. During his testimony, the snowplow driver said he returned to Fairview Road about 3 hours later, around 5:30. Though he can't recall the exact time, he said he saw first responders on the street and the road was blocked off. Loughran also confirmed he spoke with a private investigator hired by the defense, but he was not approached by state police investigators until 2023. An assistant DA, Adam Lally, began his cross-exam. He asked about Loughran's statements to the PI. Loughran said he told the PI he saw a Ford Edge outside the home, and the investigator then took him to the parking lot and pointed to a Ford Edge to confirm what he saw. Loughran said he was colorblind and could not see what color the car was, that it was just dark. Lally noted that Loughran told the PI that the SUV that he saw was exactly where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found. He says, how do you know where his body was found? He said, I told him specifically if he was looking at the door, the front door, it was about 3 feet to the left of the door. Lally pushed back again. My question to you, sir, is how do you know where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found at any point? Did you see his body on the front lawn? He says, no. He clarified he was recounting what he'd heard in the news. Not a good look. Lally also asked about an interview gave to authorities in 2023, May. It was immediately clear which agency interviewed Loughran, though prior court documents indicated he had spoken at some point with the FBI. Lally asked if Loughran told authorities he came into work around between 11:30 and 12, putting him at Fairview Road hours earlier than he testified. Loughran said he didn't recall saying that and doubled down on his earlier testimony that it was 2:30. Pointing to the discrepancies in the timing, Lally asked whether Loughran could have actually seen a black Lexus SUV outside the home around 5 a.m. Loughran said no. On redirect, Yannetti sought to clarify Loughran's answer regarding the Lexus SUV. Does that mean you're not sure if you saw one or two, or one, or that you didn't see one? I did not see a Lexus at 5 a.m. In fact, he said he didn't see a black Lexus at any point while he was plowing. Don't. I don't think it was intentional, Tennis says. She was too drunk to do anything intentionally. If so, and if, like Roberta Glass says, this never was supposed to go to trial, these defense witnesses are all a disaster, what happens to Karen Read this week? You think she's going to take the stand? Wow. I don't think she will. I don't think she'll take the stand. She's too arrogant to take the stand. She's going to do a Charlie Adelson. If she takes the stand, she's done. Absolutely done. Oh, for sure. True. I've been watching that Young Thug trial. He says the worst judge is Judge Glanville in the Young Thug. The fact that that trial is like 6 months out of my life is just hilarious. Oh, Ito is still alive. Okay. Well, thank you, Judge Ito, Lance Ito. Glad to know you're still living. Snowplow driver is intellectually challenged and was coached to lie, says Maui. The prosecutor exposed that on cross. Defense counsel are snakes. Well, I turn red. This poor man. I mean, he's just a Joe. Like, he's just a Joe. Turned bright freaking red. When it came out, he had to, like, say he was colorblind and distance, and so red. He turned so red. People are telling you you're crazy for saying she testify. I hope she does testify because I will tune in. I will change my schedule to tune in. But I don't think she will. I think, I don't know. Alan Jackson's pretty arrogant too, so I don't know. Maybe I'm 50-50 on that murder. I just can't imagine her doing that. She just cannot hold her face together. She can't. She can't come off now as sympathetic, compassionate, mistaken. She can't come off like that anymore. She's done. That face says it all. He has a real copper ceiling. That's not real copper. There's no way that's real copper. Somebody would have broke in when it was vacant and taken those panels down and sold them. She can't control her face, is what she cannot control. And she doesn't come off compassionate. She doesn't come off kind. She doesn't come off loving. She doesn't come off any of those things. Any of them. And neither do her parents. Like, them sitting back there are just like, it's a mess. There's a YouTube channel who's collaborated with Kato Kalin, and they've done great interviews with all besides Ito and OJ, the key players involved in the OJ case. It's fascinating. Well, thank you, Jay. I'll look it up. Because I just remember I was working at Health South, which is now out of business, when the Bronco chase came by. I was a nurse at the time, and it was afternoon. It was 3 to 11, and I just remember being in the room going, oh, crazy. You can get a background report on anyone in the USA that will give you an address. You don't even need the address because you can get it. You can also, in Florida, if you know a tag number, a car tag, pay $25 and get all the information on that car tag. $25. Murder says he has a theory lawyers like Jackson and Rashi know when they're lost, send the client up there to take the blame off themselves, give them a 95 score. Oh my goodness, remember that? 95. Jennifer says she really feels for Lally. Judge against him, public pressure against him, defense playing dirty, and he's doing it all alone. Well, that's the job. He's the one who has to prove the case, but I don't dispute that. Jeff Lacoste was living in an apartment off of Park Avenue. He wasn't living in a basement. He might have been in a friend's house or something, but he was not living in a basement. He said the name of his apartment when he was testifying, so that's why I know where he lived. I don't like how the judge barks at the witnesses for not speaking up. Maybe she should fix her audio system. It is such a weird courtroom setting. That whole courtroom is so confusing, and everyone's like all up on each other. Ooh. Ronnie wants to do a citizen's arrest on Wendy Adelson. Well, Ronnie, I'm going down to Miami like right after July 4th, so I'll meet you there. I'll film it. Film at 11. Someone on the comment told you he didn't. There were no basements in Florida. I had to rewatch. He said he lived in a basement apartment. He lived in a ground floor apartment. There was no basement. He might felt like it was a basement, but it was actually no basement. And we do have basements here in Tallahassee. Jeff Lacoste does have more class in his baby finger than Wendy does in her entire body. I know. It's getting really serious, though. 6:23, less than 30 days until Donna's case management hearing. Lally is seriously putting in some work now. He must have lived this case for months. I mean, who would have thought when you take a case like this that it was going to take national news, people were going to wear pink, there was going to be a whole entire media campaign on this case. Like, who would have thought that when that poor man took the case? Voter registration in Florida is public. And the number of times you vote. It's all there. We have what's called sunshine laws if you don't live here. I know Canada's very different. Texas is very different. Texas, it's hard to get a lot of tax information in some of the counties in Texas. Brooke, I can show you what some of the professors make. Send me an email. They make, I have a math professor client that makes $200,000 as a professor. She teaches math. She makes a lot of money. It's not a little bit, it's a lot. FSU's and Florida professors in general, their rates are public. Their salaries are public. So it's easy to see. Carl equals swoon, murder. Swoon. It was so funny when I watched Carl. And my only question was where to get that clock, right? I guess it's called a steampunk, which I didn't even know, that John gave him from Indonesia. It was beautiful. And somebody was mentioning Wendy's apartment, and he was like, I don't care about the decor. I do, Carl. Carl's like, so matter of fact, I don't care about the decor. I'm talking to you like a prosecutor talks to you. Patty cares about the decor because Patty likes to how do people live? I love it. Ooh, yeah, remember that. Don't forget Debbie. Debbie lives near Robert Adelson. Poor man. Just living his life. Living his life. Neely. Hi, Neely. Read case. Defense and prosecution both have ridiculous theories. Turtle Boy got all his info directly from the defense. He is horrible how he attacks the families on his podcast. Wendy is guilty. Karen is guilty. Same kind of hair. It's true. Highlights. Highlights do not prove guilt, Kim. It's funny, though. She'll probably end up dating an attorney. I think Karen, from what I know about her, I don't know her personally. Again, I'm not an attorney, an accountant, or a judge. She will end up dating an attorney on her case or nearby. I don't think this woman likes being alone. Murder says it took me years until he realized it was sunshine laws and it's called the Sunshine State. Doesn't that make me slow in the brain? No, because you don't live here. But it is sunshine laws. Most everything is public. But law enforcement addresses are not public. You can still find them if you know where to look. But say John O'Keefe's home is not necessarily a public address because it was law enforcement. She was fired. Good. She might sue to get her job back. Doesn't she have other issues like leaving the scene? And like if she's convicted, won't there be more issues? And can't John, even if she's found not guilty, can't they do like a OJ thing and go after a financial settlement with her? Lily, how can you have an expectation of privacy if your home is listed and if it's not, property is listed as referenced as comparables? Explain it. You cannot. If your home is on the market, it's literally on the market. Like, it's on the market nationally. Follow me on Facebook. I make fun of a ton of homes. I don't put the addresses out. I could, but I choose not to. Zillow Gone Wild, which now has a freaking HGTV show, does put the addresses out. They put the full listing out. So when your home is on the market, how are people going to find it? You don't have an expectation of privacy. People will walk on your lawn, even though they shouldn't, because you could have a gun. In Florida, you could get shot. But an expectation of privacy in your home. People often don't realize, if you live on a public road in Florida, I'm a property appraiser. I can drive up and down every road and take a picture of your house. That's what Google does. Google does it. Google Street View. You have to go in. That's how I found Will Reed. Bill, Karen's dad. Bob. William. I think his name is William. And she's Janet. She looks like one. That was a Google Street View photo. Now, 34 Fairview, let me show you, where John was left to die in Canton, is now blocked. So whoever bought this home now is kindly asking people, this is Fairview now, 34 Fairview. It's blocked. You can't see it. But everything else shows you where it is, right? I mean, it's here. It's everywhere. This is the house now. It doesn't take too much to look for this stuff. Very different. This is all the same. They just painted it. But this is different. They had this different treatment done on the shingles. It looks like it needs a roof soon, by the way. I'm not a roofer. But I can tell when one needs one. Right here. And look how they photoshopped this. So there must have been streaks on that roof at some point. And they photoshopped it and smeared it. Looks ridiculous, but still sold for a whopping amount of money. Whopping amount of money. He couldn't even see the roads on the map, I know. It was a blizzard. He says it's a blizzard. This is what happens during a blizzard, and then says it wasn't a blizzard. Oh, yeah, Debbie. I can tell you how much she owes, how much she paid, what her interest rate was. Like, you can look all of this up. What I do for my own entertainment, which is true. I do it to look up sellers. I do it to look up buyers. I want to know how much they owe when we go to sell a home. All of that is public information in Florida. It's easy. You can't trust the Snowplow man because he's answering questions based on news articles he read. I mean, that should have been eliminated right then. How do you actually say, well, I read it in the news article? So you didn't witness it? No, sir. Okay, goodbye. You're dismissed. They totally love this Snowplow guy, toasting him afterwards. Well, there's a lot to toast. I mean, the guy looks toast. Not like drunk, but the dude is red. Red, red, red. I don't think when he offered to testify, because that's likely what happened, he realized what he was getting into. And he uses an Android. Just kidding. He uses an Android. Thank you so much, Kim. That is very kind of you. Wow, thank you so much. Gray. So what Carl said, and I'm quoting him, people can correct me, I think. Feel free to. But Carl said, like, taking Rashbaum on the Markel, when they get paid up front, the large sum, not necessarily retainer, but all of it, you know, they could chill out a little bit. But sometimes they get a retainer plus hourly. Sometimes, like Chud Daybell, they get the house. He got the house and a tenant. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Did you see the plow guy outside taking pictures like a celebrity? Yeah. That's what I mean. He's just... crazy, crazy, crazy. So it wasn't determined that the wound could not be from a car accident. No, and there's lights, you know, the light in his skin. Something happened with the car, and something happened with that car. He rammed a damn basketball hoop on the road. He obviously can't see. He really shouldn't be a snowplow driver. Let's face it. Should he really be a snowplow driver? I think he is an absolute wreck of an insurance liability with the snowplow. Yes, and his main job was sewer cleaner. Bless his heart. Someone's got to do it. So he's taking his little 15 minutes. $1 million defense, and the only experts that could testify were performing at the local Canton Circus last weekend. And I'm going back to Rashbaum and the defense witness was Wendy's divorce attorney. How is that even? I just still don't get that. Like, you had all of this time to bring a defense witness out to show that Charlie was compassionate. He was a loving father. He was attentive as a son. All of this time. And your witness is Wendy's fired divorce attorney. Not really fired. Stepped down. We don't really know. Who knew when she read Dan Markel's brief that it was hitting the wall? That it was going to hit the wall. She knew it, so she stepped down. All of that time, Dan, and that's who you bring up? You couldn't get the Minces to come from Corpus Christi? They were on your list. Why didn't you bring Mike Mintz in? You didn't bring in, like, Charlie's teacher, tennis coach. There was literally no character reference for Charlie Adelson. Not during his defense or during his sentencing. Not one. Not one. You couldn't get his dad to show up. And you bring out Wendy's attorney, who, no offense, she is not renowned for what she should be renowned for. When you're colorblind, you see things in shades of gray, reducing the contrast in the scene, making more difficult to see edge details. That is accurate. So how do you know the difference between snow and gravel? Like, how do you know? Oof. Bless you, Pikachu. Bless you. And the dog bite. The dog bite lady was very sad. He doesn't see things on the road, and he wouldn't see anything on the lawns in the snowstorm. There's no way for him to do. And that 34 Fairview Road is not, that lawn is not big. It's not big. But you better keep your eye on the road, not just like 5 feet on, you know, like 10 feet on the... It's because the lawn is more than 5 feet. So he's like, I only look 5 feet on either side. But the lawn is further than 5 feet. And the guy's like, well, you can only see the whole lawn. He's like, yeah. I would not want to be on TV for any of these trials. I mean, they would have to pay me $750 an hour. That is weird. The defense witnesses were horrible. She's apparently only got one left. All of that time, 2 years. And that's all you have? Little Miss, I care about John. Ooh. And Plow Driver was saying body was 3 feet from the door when he was saying from the front door of the house. I know, I didn't understand that. And how could he tell? I just don't think he's a good witness. Did you see a 6'2" man laying in the yard covered with snow with his phone underneath him? At least Karen Reed's trial had a defense witness, right? I still can't believe that. Christine Adamson, that's her name. I knew it was Christine. I still can't believe it. I still don't understand. Of all the defense that you could have put on, knowing your extra, your extortion, you could have put a financial person on. You could have put on, again, Bree. You could have put on Junam Chinda again. You could have done so much. All of those real estate people you knew, all of those fellow doctors, like your best friend that Magbanua was working for, the dermatologist, I guess, that Magbanua was working for. All of those people, you could have just run them through. Instead, you bring on Christine Adamson. Unbelievable. I still don't understand that. Tennis says she wants him not guilty just because she wants it to end. I know. But I will turn in this week. Ito is only 73 years old? Oh my God. Oh my God. Murder says she's absolutely taking the stand. Today rumors came out that she might. They gotta act like they hit it out of the stand. Jay says, with all the grandstanding by the defense, you'd think they hit it out of the ballpark when it was their turn. Nope. So far, pathetic. Byron says, I hope she does, but it would be a mistake. Just like Charlie. Everybody who goes through, I need a defense attorney, should be forced to watch Charlie Adelson's horrific testimony. And be like, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. She definitely looks mean. She's very thin, which makes her face look very drawn. We're talking about Carrie Reed's face. She's very thin. So that drawn look is not a pleasant look. You know what I mean? Like, she's a lot to take. And I just don't. Just not a fan of that whole, like, meanness, if that makes sense. She's tough. She's a tough bird. Debbie says she shed more tears in his trial than she has, and I knew no one. And she doesn't have a heart. She doesn't. It reminds me, I go back to the case Brooks Houck. Like, you got the kid in your car, Brooks. You have the kid in your car. Where's Crystal? I don't know. Fed her to the pigs is what you should have said, Brooks. Not to be unkind, but KR is very loud. Could be tiresome for the jury. And I have to assume that everyone on the jury has the same accent she has. That Massachusetts, Boston accent. They probably all do. But I feel like on TV, her accent plays so much harsher than it probably is. She comes off so incredibly harsh. Because of that hard Boston, it's just a harder accent. It's not... It's not like she's from like Gainesville, Georgia, which has a pretty accent. She just doesn't have it. Homie. Homie was ramming kids' basketball hoops. You can't trust his eyesight. He can't see. He admitted it on the stand. Nobody wants to say to their client, we got this, it's good, to then have them found guilty looks bad on the record. Rashi knew Charlie would eat it on the stand. But why not have someone else come after Charlie or before him to like lead up to Charlie's honest? Charlie was a great student. Charlie's a great dad. Like all of those things, why not have somebody perjure themselves and say Charlie was a fabulous man? Could they not get anybody to perjure themselves for Charlie Adelson? Anybody? That's what I was wondering. Can they sue civilly? You're reading Karen Goldman's book, Can't Forgive, on Katie Kool-Lady. I saw she was doing that. And you can't forgive. I mean, they're still trying to fight for that money, that wrongful death. They might be able to sue Karen's dad and brother when she's found not guilty. I don't know how much she owes on that house, but I'll look it up. I believe she won't take the stand because she was convinced herself she's winning. She's waiting for the trial. But she absolutely stands there and lies, Jennifer, to the news organizations that says, you know, it's up to my attorney. My attorney is going to be the one to tell me whether I can testify or not. She lies. And she's hoping that everyone in that local news and national news actually believes her. And that's a bet. She's betting that she's like, oh, it's up to them. You know, will they tell me to do it? I don't think so. How many days until Donna's hearing? It's July 22nd at 1:30 in the afternoon in Courtroom Z. Courtroom Z. Which is probably another tiny freaking courtroom. So you're in there and there's like all these other cases. And I hope whoever gets the media pool, whoever gets the camera pool, like last time it was the Fox affiliate, shows up on time. Because Judge Everett will tell you no camera, so show up on time. If it's a Democrat, CBS, ABC, whoever it is, show up on time so we can get that camera pool in, because he is not going to wait. Judge Everett is not waiting for the camera. So Court TV screwed up last time, bless their hearts, and they were told to leave the room. And chop, chop. Can you believe that? That is how you run a courtroom. So July 22nd at 1:30, everybody needs to be present and accounted for. Do not walk in at 1:31 and expect to get a seat, because you won't. Pull camera, show up on time. Everybody, chop, chop. He did. He made the court TV lady. She's like, I'm here for my... And he said, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're out. See you in the media room, because that's where you'll be. He did not take crap. And that was for case management. You're afraid of Karen Reed getting off and being found not guilty and being some side of folk hero profiting from what she did, knowing she can't be retried. 100%. Wendy is the worst of that family, and that's saying something. Well, I think Donna's the worst of them. I'm beginning to think Harvey is too. I just got a message. You do think some open knowledge can be dangerous. Yep, it can. I think about that all the time when I leave here at work. Late. AJ thought Alan Jackson, that the whole campaign Free Karen Reed with so many different stories, I won't swear it, which were all lies, they have destroyed lives. Yeah, and the family's sitting there. I mean, John O'Keefe was minding, he was just at a party. I'm more certain than for Charlie it's not happening. KR being innocent is an alternate reality. It's always the families that think they are above the law and think they are the Sopranos. It'd be devastating if she's found not guilty and the damage she's created. Robert is probably like, and I was the black sheep of the family. Robert just wanted to be with his wife. You gotta bless him. Gotta bless the guy, right? I absolutely love that all podcasts are different, aren't they? Like my real passion is real estate. Like I had the first thing Karen Reed this morning, I was like, where do you live? It's just nothing. When you see her, how she dresses, how she carries herself, and her home does not match. Frankly, John O'Keefe doesn't match her personality. I just don't think they look like a good match. He seemed like a police officer. He seemed down to earth. I don't know him, obviously. But he seemed very down to earth and just kind of like a fun-loving guy. And there's Karen. She's so stiff. Her face, her nose. I can't stand Baez watching him in the other murder trial, right? Britigan. Karen Reed's dad was an accounting professor at Bentley, which is where he got Karen the job. She will date in prison. Wendy's, very cold, but it matched her personality, right? She's a mess. Wendy dresses, like she had her dress on, but her shoes are messy. Her shoes are scuffed. Her outfit the day that Dan was murdered in his garage by her family, wearing those little baby flats. She's messy. But her house is messy. Maybe. Dating Jackson, I hope not, because that's his license. Will I follow Alec Baldwin's trial? Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that's just such a tragic case, though. I really do. I think Alec Baldwin is like Karen Reed. He really doesn't help himself. He doesn't come off likable. He comes off as he's above it without any accountability. And that's where Karen Reed comes off. I think of the word as accountability. She has none. She doesn't even come off like, oh my God, I lost my partner. I lost my boyfriend. She doesn't even come off like that. Charlie didn't either. Charlie didn't come off with, that was my beloved nephew's dad. Why didn't you go, when you read that? Charlie's jury selection. So Charlie's jury selection literally was all about Charlie not going to Dan Markel's funeral or memorial service. And how do we weed people out that might be judgmental about Charlie not attending the memorial service or going to Canada for the trial? Because he's not a likable guy. So you were trying to weed those people out. And Karen Reed's the same way. She's not likable. She may have friends, but are they real friends anymore? Are they real friends? Oh, no. Karen was the last person to see John alive and left parts of her car on the scene. From that moment, she tried to cover her track, piles of evidence for this and theory for that. But why not, I guess, accountability? Why not just be accountable? Where was I reading? I was watching a show on BritBox. It's called Crime. And it's great. It's only 2 seasons. The second season just showed up. And the first season, there was a criminal case where little girls are being killed in horrific, torturous ways. And then on the other side of it, the police officer who's leading, they call them coppers, who's leading this investigation. His girlfriend is also big in HR at this oil pipeline company called Dunedin, of all things. And they are Dunedin Power, and there's a lot of sexual harassment going on. So this girl does a little subterfuge, plants some information in the one guy's wife. The wife shows up, finds them having sex, blows their marriage apart, and the girl that is his counterpart in all of this sexual harassment, this girl looks at her and goes, be accountable. Be accountable. Own what you did. And the lady couldn't. She got up and walked out. She could not, even though it was known, even though everything was freely known now of what these people did, she couldn't own her actions. And I don't think Karen Reed has that either. I know Charlie Adelson doesn't, and Lord knows Wendy Adelson doesn't have it. It's all about that accountability. Does a pocket listing preserve your privacy? No. If one person knows where you live, you no longer have privacy. So say you were going to say, Patty, I want you to list my home, but you don't want to put a sign out. That's fair. And you only want it to be known in Tallahassee. That's fair too. It doesn't have to go out in Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com or any of that. But I have to be able to sell your house. So I have to tell people about your house being sold. So I may only, which has happened, I may only put it up on like a Facebook ad or something. But there's no way to market a home or a car or a t-shirt privately. Now, there is a property where I place the tenants, and it's at Whispering Pines. It's on Blairstone. It's 2731 Blairstone Road. And the owner was trying to have a hostile takeover a condo association. Very fascinating story. And he's now, because he spent too much money trying to take over this condo association, I think he thought people were just going to lay down, and they didn't lay down. So he's trying to sell it and sell it privately where no one knows the amount of money, or it's just a mess. But yeah, I mean, even with Wendy's listing, if you put in undisclosed, it comes right up. Still for rent. And now there's another one for sale or for rent in this building. There's another one. I mean, she can have undisclosed address, but it's still. Where's the other one for rent? But Zillow says there's 2 for rent now in that building. Oops. So it's a great question, but it's not. You have to lose your privacy to have your home for rent. It's a great question, though. Barbara says, if she's a juror, she'd have zero doubt. I know. I mean, that's the end. That's what's going to matter, right? The juror. The Alberts house was never searched. Well, that was a mistake. I think everybody's home should be searched. Karen was the last one to see John, and she was the first one to find John. That's the problem. That lawn, I know. There's no grass on it. Added to that, all the pending witness intimidation suit. That's the one. That was what was missing. We just listed about 20 charges coming. Ooh. The evidence is her own words. Her father's words. Her main attorney, Canetti's words. All the first responders heard it too. Her own words are her problem. The people who believe Karen is innocent also think OJ is innocent because the glove didn't fit. Snowplow man changes his story like he changes his socks. He just is in too far over his little head. Sarah says people are passionate about this because they hate a frame job and corrupt persecutions. I think you meant prosecution. Lily says, yeah, I know. I meant for you to explain, folk, how it is okay to view properties and explain why it's important for the real estate market. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yes, you need to be out on the market, but there are people who do not want full absorption into the marketplace. For sale by owners don't end up on Zillow unless they pay for the privilege. So they're not going to be completely on the market. People who do not want to sign up. A lot of time a tenant gives you a hard time about putting a sign out. So that would be one of those cases. But in the end, if one person knows where you live, it's never private. Just isn't. Imagine you're a single woman in Florida and you tell some guy you meet at a bar your name and the next day he appears at your door. It can easily happen. That's why I tell people in the Facebook groups that I mediate and do not, like people all the time. Can I even tell you, Debbie? People will want to post, I need a babysitter for my 2 and 4-year-old from 10 to 2 and 5 to 8. Why in the hell would you post that? First of all, why are you posting you have 2 kids? Why are you posting that you're allowing a 14-year-old or whoever to watch your kids during specific times of the day? All you're doing is asking people to come rob you and take your children. So we don't allow those posts. You could say, I'm looking for a babysitter, and hopefully you'll do a better vetting than what you just did, but we do not allow it. You got to be very careful. I don't often share my grandchildren's faces on social media. They're little. They're not my children. My daughter may do it, but I try not to do it. Same with my grandsons. I just don't do it. He was a last-minute witness for AJ and Y, and they didn't even have witnesses lined up. They were so sure they would get this thrown out from all the conspiracy theories. That's basically what Roberta said. This was never supposed to get this far. Lucky ain't so lucky when it comes to having good eyesight. That is true, because I do not anymore have great eyesight. I have to wear glasses almost all the time now. There's pictures of the crazy pink shirts with the plow guy outside the courtroom. He obviously. Her tech guy, Richard Green, was an absolute slimeball. Celebrate had to update software just to stop guys like him misrepresenting data. And Murder would know. I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they pay attention to this stuff and do that. Ooh. Well, thank you. I try to be funny. I don't always hit it, but I do try. Simple case. She hit him, fled the scene, admitted it, denied it, lied about it, blamed others. That's the problem. And I think if you do have a fair jury, that's going to be a problem. I think if you do have a fair jury and she takes the stand, she's done. Like, she has nothing because she just comes off so bad. Sarah says there's so much reasonable doubt. Altered videos, butt dials. I don't know that that's reasonable doubt, but I appreciate what you're saying. Georgia would have made mincemeat out of mince. Bump, Debbie. But they couldn't come up with anybody. They couldn't come up with anybody for Charlie Adelson. Anybody. Well, thank you, Annie. She says Patty is the best because she's a star being herself. Well, thank you. I try. Don't give that clown any ideas for Donna's trial. I'm not trying to help, but I mean, Donna is a whole other world of... So, let's talk about Carl again. Not Carl himself, but he said that Rashbaum was at the jail for like 3 hours in the evening, 8 to 11 or some nonsense. Hold on one second. We're trying to figure out when's the best time for me to go. I think I'm going to go down to Miami like July 6th. I think I'm going to move it up. Have you seen on X, all the mobile forensic community and FBI people are tweeting about him being so unprofessional? I wish Georgia, X is Twitter. I wish Georgia was prosecuting. I wish Georgia prosecuted a lot of cases. Can you imagine? Injuries don't match up with the SUV backing into him. I think he hit the pole. He jumped out of the way, fell and hit his head. She never knew it. Still blaming Chloe, who has no bottom teeth. Well, I missed something there, but that's hilarious. Let's get real. Rashbaum spent most of that trial trying to cover Wendy's behind. Charlie doesn't know, but he got screwed. I have to agree. I think there should be a whole lot of attorney. That should be the appeal. I mean, I don't know that you can now because now you're still like buddy with him. He's still visiting and your mother has him. And but I think, oh my. And I think Catherine is the one who really should have gone after her attorneys to have an immunity deal and end up life. Crazy. 20 people all say you couldn't see John. I say they saw a black blob. Only Karen knew where he was and ran over to a pile of snow. Daughter has similar interests and her father may have exposed her to this since childhood, which would also make her a victim. Karen saying her case is going great. There's no evidence against me. Blah, blah, blah. So did Charlie. I mean, Charlie didn't speak to the media. Why is she speaking to the media? Someone who's very angry. I can't imagine throwing my vehicle in reverse and going 25 miles an hour on a snowy, icy road at night. What rational person would do that? I mean, that wind and that snow was just blowing and blowing and blowing. I know, but I was just wondering why not bring her back as a defense witness? Because she loved him. Like, and talk about the other stuff. That's what I meant, Debbie. Like, why did they have no care? June loved, I mean, you could tell she really loved Charlie. Why not have her, like, why not have anybody come back and be a defense witness for Charlie other than Wendy's attorney as the only person you could get? That is still bizarre to me. Once again, he should not have a snow removal job. No, he should not. He shouldn't be driving at night, probably in the snow, let alone that. Karen's living the same delusion as Charlie. That's true. He is living a delusion. I'm sick of watching her eye rolling in court. I can't believe the judge lets her get away with it. This is not helping her. This Debbie says, watch this show on A&E. It's called Guilty or Innocent, and the other one, Taking the Stand in Killer Cases. Most of our trials end up on these shows. Thank you, Debbie. I had not heard of that. But I've been watching a lot of British crime lately when I do get to watch TV. Murdaugh was at least, I thought he was effective on the stand as far as keeping control, his face, those kind of things. I thought he was clearly a murderer, but I thought he was well versed. I mean, he was an attorney on the stand, so. I could not believe it. I could not believe when Charlie took the stand. I could not believe it. I mean, I literally dumped so much work on my business partner so I could go that day. I did. I was like, please. We were supposed to shoot the radio show that day. We were supposed to do all this stuff. I'm like, please take over for me. Please. She does have a resting bitch face, but that Charlie's being called, I was like, all of that. I mean, the courtroom was packed that day when Charlie took the stand. Packed. And you're just like, you just could not believe. But there was an extortion with an extortion, and that extortion had an extortion, and it was like the extortion gave birth. Did the extortion give the? I mean, who was the extortioner? Everybody. I don't staple my money. Why would I staple my money? I'm a doctor, and I don't think people realize the impact of Georgia saying, "Can I call you Dr. Adelson?" And he goes, "Yeah, you call me doctor." So she kept calling him Dr. Adelson. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Dr. Adelson. Would you believe blah, 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 blah. The way brother Paul stares her down, they definitely will sue after the criminal trial. Hope so. Her accent is rough. Eli, so we're going to Crystal. Eli was never without Crystal. Brooks, having Eli and Crystal nowhere to be found, told Sherry Ballard that Crystal was gone. So sad. True story. That case is ready to heat up, I think. Let's see. I'm behind because I only mentioned Crystal Rogers like an hour ago. So. Chris McDonough said any cop who didn't give Albert an envelope full of cash at Christmas got beat up. Welcome to Massachusetts. The only person they needed to get on the stand was Donna, was supposedly the one involved in extortion. His own mother, who could have saved her son, would not take the stand. Nope. Nor the father, nor anybody else. Nor Bree. They could have brought Bree up. Nope. This is going to be in Z. Z is in Zana. Zany. Z. Courtroom Z. I intend to attend every day of Donna's trial. Yes. I will be there every day. I live here. I'm going to partake. I'm trying to get a media pass with the radio station. Hopefully I'll get one. But yes, every day. And I will not bring food to the trial, and my phones unfortunately will be off completely because there's no other way to do it in his courtroom. And his, I said, Stephen Everett. Prosecution is saying it was intentional because they were not getting along, which they weren't. Yeah, they weren't getting along, but any good attorney would not put a defendant on the stand unless necessary. There's a ton of reasonable doubt. Rashbaum has a super ego. Charlie, textbook narcissist. Two personalities who would not be advising or deciding to testify. Maybe they had no character witnesses because no one would lie. There's got to be somebody who would have been. I mean, he got enough people on the phone. They got enough people on the phone with Charlie. How do they not have that? Well, some of this I can't say. Who do you think is culpable? The law enforcement family who invited them over for cocktails, or the loose cannon who's recorded saying blank, blank, hate you at the time he was dying? I want to see Baldwin testify, but he's an actor. It's not going to go well. I think he'll do very fine as a witness. Very fine, and it will not go well. People get so enamored with actors and actresses, and it'll be fine. She really does have secondhand furniture. Someone brought up a good thing about her furniture. Was it the owner's furniture? Remember, the owners lived in England, which their home was lush. So was the owner's home, like, did they just have that furniture there and she just bought it when she bought the house? But she never replaced it. She has no compassion. This is a wreck. Karen Reed on the stand will be an utter, absolute wreck. She's maybe an alcoholic. I'm going to add a maybe in there. This is probably the first time Karen Reed has been sober in a long time. And probably why Karen Reed doesn't know how to act. She doesn't. But I don't know that she's an alcoholic, so I'm going to put a maybe in there. The new A&E on the Adelson case is very good. I saw it. Someone sent me a text that it was on. And so you'll see my head. Like, I tried to stay behind people. I didn't do a very good job. But I tried to stay behind people, but my hair is there. And sometimes I'm looking down. Wendy is tall, wears flats a lot. She's not that tall. She is not that tall. I don't know why people say she is. I'm taller. She's not. I mean, flats are more comfortable, but she's not that tall. I want to hear from Karen's ex-boyfriend. None have come to defend what an angel she is. Nope. Canton is alcoholic, Crystal Light, vodka, soda water. I like Crystal Light, but I don't use vodka. But I do like that. Wendy's only 5'6". Yeah, she's not that tall. She's just not. I mean, I saw her. I was like right there. And I'm far taller than she is. I'm confused with the Karen Reed. Her facial expressions make her look guilty. I know. She's just not very well coached by her attorney. All privacy is out the window. No more expectations of privacy. You can't even go to the grocery store looking not so hot because someone can video you. Yep. And then you have street photographers. So I'm taking this class on street photography, and it makes me very nervous. But you go up and you just like snap photos. But luckily I haven't had to take other people yet. Wendy has not moved. She has not moved out of the area as yet. Her home is listed and is supposedly available for August 1. Because you don't have to assume. But I assume that she is, which one is for rent? That's 1,000. I have to assume that she is trying to get there for Texas. I mean, that's absolutely what my assumption is Texas. But supposedly in her building, there is another rental. I'm trying to find it. Dude, some of those rentals are like $15,000 a month. Holy cadoli. That's a lot of money. I don't see the second one. Zillow says there's another one in her apartment complex or condo that's for rent, but I don't see it. She's getting sued by the O'Keeffes. I hope so. Prosecutor cannot even get the coroner to say he was hit by a vehicle. You need a cause of death to convict any person. No, you don't. No, you really don't. I mean, I think all of us have watched so many trials. Not everything has to be clear cut. It just, not anymore. Didn't happen. Let me get to the bottom. I'm behind. The boys should have grown up with their father and they would have had their own rooms. Yes, that's true. Do I think Wendy gets arrested? I don't think she'll be offered a plea deal. So I do not think so. And I believe she will be arrested. There are much nicer places for $5,000 in her area, which is the Courts, is what it's called, in Miami Beach. Is it true Wendy's moving because she's getting married? That is a rumor I heard, that she is very close to this person, and she's likely moving for a man, but there's no way for me to know as yet. I don't think they can put Karen under control. The attorneys had to tell her to not show facial expressions. Tallest relative, you're 5'11", I'm 5'10", so most women and men are short from our vantage. I'm shorter than you, Jay. She freaked me out with the clock. I think she staged the apartment for all of us. I find it so hard to believe that was coincidence. There's really no way to know. But I find that so hard to believe that was a coincidence. And if you don't know, if you go to Wendy's rental listing, you can see a photo of a digital clock that said Friday at 10:53, which is a very close approximate time to when Dan Markel was shot in his head twice by Siegfried. You saw me sitting in the gallery. I was there, and it was amazing. I mean, it was just so fascinating to watch how the court TV behaved, to watch how the gallery behaved, to watch how the jury behaved. I mean, that jury was a take no prisoners jury. Absolutely. She says she's the same height as Dan. He wasn't 5'6". Well, she's not 5'9" or 5'10" either. I was wondering if the Adelsons have brought up other properties because moving to Austin might be a decoy. Well, Fancy Fiction found that out, so she probably has a source. She has a source. That she's the one who broke the news that the unit was up for rent and that she was moving to Texas. And that so far all that timeline's accurate. Awesome, Patty. Can't wait to hear your commentary. I know. I got to take good notes. Like, I'm going to have to... I have an actual, like, memo recorder, so I might use that. Like, an old-style voice recorder. I was trying to explain why she might have certain facial expressions rather than those who seem to be making faces. I have no idea why Karen Reed has facial expressions. It's like her face has Tourette's, but she does. And she really needs to keep it under lock and key. It's a mess. Someone mentioned in chat that the money was brought to Charlie before Katie even mentioned the extortion to Charlie. I don't think so. I don't think so. June did Charlie no favors with her testimony. John died of 2 things, blunt force trauma and hypothermia. If she'd gone back, he might still be alive. Right? Maybe Charlie's character witnesses knew too much and would be destroyed and cross. We know he likes to talk. Well, a subpoena's a subpoena, though. I don't know. Maybe they tried it. Maybe... Didn't they have mock trial? Didn't they have a mock trial for Charlie? Where they tried different ideas? Debbie Martin says they supposedly June's condo. I think they're talking about June's condo. People think June's parents bought it, but they had a restaurant I frequented. It was a small Thai place. Not sure they had $250 cash for that. Who knows? I would love to know, Rosemary. I would love to know. But when you watch Alan Jackson walk around the courtroom, you can kind of get a feel of why she's walking around the courtroom like that. I know what a colostomy is, but drinking will cause lots of digestive problems. That's true. A lot of digestive problems. Karen suffers from MS. Karen also had a brain tumor removed. Girl's a mess. People were not willing to... Okay, someone said Karen had a total colostomy, not a I didn't know that. And how does she go on drinking with that? People do. You can train a colostomy. People don't think so, but you can. You can train it. Everything's about timing. Patty, can you find out if the A's bought June's condo? I cannot tell where the money came from. Yeah, there's no way to know. There's no way to know who bought that condo for June. Unless you're looking at their accounts. And even then, they have so many like weird LLCs, the Adelsons, it easily could have been like that. I did not take a comment down. Nor did Tennis Girl. And I doubt Patty did, but I don't know. YouTube can be weird. I have not removed any comments. Should I? I don't know. Should I have taken a comment down? Debbie says, Patty, if you want to go July 6th, stop near my house and we could both make an appointment with Dr. Graber and maybe do an interview. I'm up for that. I can leave here July 5th. YouTube doesn't like it, but you really don't do that usually, so no biggie. I don't know what happened. Well, I don't care if you play in all caps. I could care less about that. So I use all caps a lot. Karen Reed has MS. She has Crohn's disease. Is that what you mean? Was severe enough to require a total colostomy. I would imagine she's very uncomfortable sitting there and very fatigued. She deserves presumption of innocence. She does. She also should keep her face straight. I want to go, Patty. Well, come on. I'm going. So if you want to go, come on. Let me know. Amber Heard. Oh, my God. You are so right. You are so right. A lot of her expressions are a reminder of Amber Heard. You are so right. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that. Oh my gosh. Karen Reed and Amber Heard. That is perfect. I have a friend with a colostomy. She works as a nurse for 12 hard hours. You can do that. People live great lives with a colostomy. Nope. But the courtroom doesn't have a GPS. June's testimony was hard to watch for me. I had a very hard time watching it. I'm like, you cannot be as trite as you sound. You just cannot. But that's how she sounded. Very, very trite. But she might have built a business off of it. Karen drinks every night, so I don't believe she has everything the media claims she has. I don't know. Does she? How do we all know she drinks every night? I think YouTube doesn't like all caps so the creators get a message. Oh, thank you. Because I could care less. It's hard for me to type like up, down, all. I mean, I love all caps. I don't know who decided one day, some arbitrary person decided all caps was screaming. Meet me at this house, but I cannot find it. June. Judy Arias did say she would be acquitted, and she does have facial expressions. She was that testimony of June's was really hard. I'm like, first of all, I'm a real estate agent, so you're kind of embarrassing everybody that's a real estate agent. And second of all, are you even taking any of this seriously? And then she's like swooning over Charlie. I'm like, God, he hasn't had a full bath in over a year. And you're like, oh, happy birthday. When she walked past him and said happy birthday, I can't imagine. My eyes must have gone out of my head because I was like, did she just say what I think she said? Yep, she did. Happy birthday. Happy birthday? She's such a crackpot. Bless her heart. That is so funny. She is still in love with him. I mean, but how about it, Debbie? She literally walked past. Happy birthday. Like she's freaking Marilyn Monroe. I was like, did she really do that? I hope you have a great... No, how'd she say? I hope you have a great birthday. He's on trial for his life. And you're like, hope you have a great birthday. Oh, she was a mess. That's what she did. That's what she did. Hope you have a great birthday. He's got a bologna sandwich waiting for him in the back after he's anally searched. June. Yeah, it's going to be a highlight. It's true. Everyone saw it. God, she's a mess. You had to see Karen Reed on the video of her in the bar. She had 6 or 9 drinks before she left the bar. Who knows if she drank before she went to the bar? Likely. Her texts were angry at John. She may be sweet, but she wasn't too bright, man, June. Don't you guys remember? She's walking past. Her testimony's over. She's leaving, and this is just the last trial. She's leaving, and she's like, hope you have a great birthday. Oh, that was a funny one. That was a funny one. So July 22nd, be there, be square. Donna's courtroom is going to be balloon lit. Carl thinks there's going to be a ton of us, a ton of podcasters there. I don't know then, but I think for the trial of Donna Adelson, for sure. That'll make Karen Reed stuff. But we all can't wear pink. We all can't have like quiet signage saying justice for Dan, or we're all going to get kicked out. Stephen Everett's not going to put up with that. I don't think they'll delay the trial. I don't think Judge will allow it because he just moved it for them. So I can't imagine a trial. He said he wants everything in on time. I don't think that that's going to happen. Green for lucky. Yeah. Imagine if we all walk in the same color. What's going to happen? But how about how June stopped and posed in front of Charlie before she said happy birthday? She did. She did. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Any woman with half a brain would see Charlie as pathetic. He liked them young and tiny. Tiny. Last sound from a woman from June and last hug from a woman was his paid attorney, Catherine. I know. Don't kill people. I mean, it's really the answer to that. Don't kill people. Don't remove people from someone's life. And then you won't have to worry about the last time you are hugged by a female. Well, I'm going to go. It's 2 hours. I have to take some photos. See that? I have to take some photos. This week's photo project is not going to be fun for me, but I have to take some photos. Green for lucky. Lucky if we all win. Lucky on the Adelson side. There is that. I think a lot of women should be grateful that that is not happening. Well, thank you. See, I just find that so hard to believe, but it is in my color wheel. So I have red, but I find it hard to believe it's my color. Does that make sense? I just don't see it. Awesome chatters. Thank you, Tennis, very, very much. And thank you for the compliment about my red. But it's never been never thought it was my shade, but my wheel says I should. Carl is supposed to be on tonight, right? Anybody know this more than I do? But Debbie Martin, let me know about going down in a week and a half because it's coming up. Like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Share what we do. I hope you enjoy the time with me. 2 hours. And I hope you, if nothing else, you learned something. You learned what a pocket listing is and you had a giggle. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.